Okay, well, thank you everybody for being here, David and Nimo and Debbie. The purpose of our time together is to get a feeling of what goes on among the Maasai so that we can help raise up more funds for you for future trips.
Okay.
And so I think I'd like to just start asking questions. Debbie, jump in anytime you want, but David, I'll start with you. What was your #1 heartbreaking story out of all the trips you've made?
For End FGM.
Yes, the number one. The number one story that has been breaking my heart up to now is about the two ladies, and specifically the lady who underwent FGM, and both of her legs got physically disabled, and both her hands. And then on top of that, she became like a mental the problem too. So she cannot feed herself, she cannot dress herself, she cannot do anything. And when I went to do Project 97, I think 2 weeks ago, is it 2 weeks or 1 week ago in Musro, I visited her once again. We had prayed with her almost 6 months ago, and then I came to pray with her again. But it was breaking my heart to see the mother trying to carry her from the shattered house and the bed, bringing her outside to the sun. And she was very brown, not because she is brown, but because she has been living inside that house without getting out. Because the mother has to wait to get somebody who can help her to bring the girl outside the house. They lost their father, so it is the mother who is supposed to take care of her and also the other siblings. The mother is not working in anywhere, so she just depends on well-wishers. So it was really heartbreaking just to see the pain.
So David,
David.
the girls got FGM and then they got pregnant, and then that's when they become paralyzed, right? Is that correct?
Yes, she became paralyzed when she was giving birth. And also the baby also died, and also she became paralyzed.
And how old was she when this happened?
By then, when she was getting pregnant, she was about 12. That means she underwent FGM when she was around 11. Because basically, you have to go through FGM for you to get married. And then afterwards, when she became disabled, the husband, who was around 70 years old, he carried the girl and brought her back to her family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So she was 11 when she was cut with the female circumcision, FGM, married off the next year to a 70-year-old man.
Yes.
Had the baby. And did you say the baby died?
Yes, the baby died during giving birth because of the problems of FGM.
Yes.
So yeah, she wasn't able to give birth well, and so that was the first girl. The second girl, who is around 15 miles away from this other one, she
15
went
miles.
15 miles away from the first home. She went through FGM again at 12 years, and she was married off. I think I sent you a photo when she is wearing those gowns for the Maasai when she's getting married. And you can see, if you zoom, you can see her like crying, the tears on the photo, because she was being forced to get married. I happened to visit a school which she was learning, and the students, the pupils in that school know her. And they are the one who told me, go to Facebook, you will find this picture for that girl. We know her and we know what happened. Now, when she got married to an old man, she got pregnant at the age of 13. And the same case happened when she was giving birth, and because she was doing this at home, she got paralyzed on her both legs and the right hand. So right now, it's only the left hand which is at least functioning a little bit, so she can use it to roll the wheelchair with the left hand only. Now, that was not the end of the problem. after she lost the child, 2 months again, the man made her pregnant. When she is still disabled, and when she is still in pain, and when she is still bleeding. And then again, she carried the pregnancy along again. And on the ninth month, the child died again when she was giving birth. Now this husband took her back to the family. And so when you sit down to talk with them, she has never been taken to a clinic, not even an hospital. She has never been able to be like seen by a doctor to know what really happened, because when the husband took her back, the parents were not able to pay the dowry that had been paid. They were not able to take her to hospital. So she has been in that wheelchair for the last 4 years.
Mm.
Wow.
Nimo,
So
unmute yourself. What was your greatest heartbreak as you've been helping End FGM?
The biggest heartbreak has been a 10-year-old girl. She had been taken from school, and actually the father had sold her off for $1,000 and 20 cows. And she had already been kidnapped and taken to another place called Narok. So Pastor Moses and the ACC, they really worked hard, because the brothers and the father and the man who was marrying the girl was a man. He's a rich man, an educated man. So it really beats you that culture and traditions, it doesn't really matter somehow if you have gone to school there, it's deeply rooted. So it's something really spiritual, and we really have to pray against it, because it's unusual, because you will think for someone who has gone to school will have a different mindset, but that's not the case, because they will still, even when we are talking during the trainings, you will hear them say, we cannot stop for a woman, or we cannot do these things. And yet this is someone who has gone to school. So that has been the first case. And then the second case was one we dealt with like 3 weeks ago, again, of a girl who had been abducted by the brothers, and they were really adamant for her to get married so that they can get wealth, because for them, a girl is property. She's worth something. When she goes, the family gains something. It's not, for them, they look at it as a win-win situation, which is not, because they infringe on the rights of the girl. And by the time we got to her, she's already pregnant, but we are waiting for her to give birth, then get back to school. But she's already in school. We settled her in a boarding school somewhere in the Maasai with Pastor Moses, so that after she gives birth, they will know what to do with the baby, so that she can continue with her education. But the family have been told for the time being to stay away from her, because more often than not, they will say, we'll take her back. Within no time again, she's sold off somewhere else, even if she got pregnant for somebody different.
wow.
Wouldn't the original owner want her back?
No.
So it's a temporary sale?
Yeah, if you've already picked her up from home and she's gone back with you, that's the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So help us understand the big picture of
I have a
Maasai
question.
culture. Okay, Debbie, go ahead.
May I have a question? So Nemo, in the second case, this girl was sold by her brothers. Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah.
To an older man or a rich man?
Yes.
What did you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Older man. And
Yeah.
she got pregnant, but then she was just sent back to her family, or she stayed with the older man?
No, we had to, no. We had to take her to a safe space, because she couldn't have gone back home. If we took her back home, they would either force her back to this same person or sell her off to someone different.
So the man that purchased her and then got her pregnant, did he
Mhm.
marry her? Was she his
Yeah,
wife?
yeah,
One of his
she
wives,
becomes a wife. Yeah,
many wives.
yeah,
And so you rescued her because she was too young and she's going to have trouble, and she was taken out of
Mhm.
school and
yeah,
against her will and seen as property.
yes.
Does the rich man know where she is? Is he going to go back and
Right
claim
now,
her?
no. They don't know where she is.
Okay, so she's in a safe place.
Yeah,
This is happening in several places now in Kenya, Africa, right? Where
Mhm.
they're rescuing the girls,
yes,
different people. Okay.
yeah.
So give us the big picture of Maasai culture. Obviously, marriage is not like what it is here. It's just convenience. It's just for sex, to have multiple wives. What is their thinking?
I'll go first, then David will take it from there. Marriage for them is for having children. That's just it. It's not where you have a united front. And then for the men is because he's thinking, I have many cows, many goats, who will take care of them. So I'll rather have many wives than they can take care of them. So like even from what the women were expressing is that we are not valued. We are taken as workers, like slaves, because we slave away and the men practically do nothing. Right now, they were still complaining that when it comes also to provision, instead of the way it was intended, like the man will take care of his wife, they're not doing that. They have left most of the duties to the women. So for them, marriage is getting many wives who are your slaves to take care of your property and have many children for you, so that if the girls are sold off, then you can get as many cows as many daughters as you have.
Wow. What
And
happened
some
to
of
the
the
boys? What happened to the boy children?
the
Do
boys'
they help
children,
at the house?
not so often. Now things have changed because the women were saying, we'll wake up, the cows are valued more than us. We will be told you cannot first fetch water for cooking or doing house chores before the cows drink water. Even if there was water for doing house chores, it's first for the cows. Even if they went and bought water, it is first for the cows before the children or anything. They value more their animals more than the wives and the children that they have.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
David, anything to add?
Yeah, a little bit. When I understand that in as long as we belong to the same age group, you can sleep with my wife and I can sleep with your wife. In as long as we belong in the same age group. So if you are going home and you reach at the gate, you will just like talk, like ask, hey, how are you doing? And
Excuse
then
me.
if your
Can
wife
we
tells
mute?
you,
Yeah.
you can hear
Thank
me?
you. Now I can. There was background noise from before from Nimo's computer. Okay. Start.
Sorry.
So as long as
Yeah,
you're the same age group.
Yeah, if we belong to the same age group, your wife is my wife. Talk to me with the family there and the kind of a lifestyle that they are living. Again, as Nimo said, that girls are children, wives are counted like children. So like when someone comes to ask, do we have a owner of the house? And their wife is there, you just say, nobody, there's nobody in a home. So they are just counted like children, like any other person. And so another thing is for them, sex is for reproduction and reproduction only. When I spoke to a young girl, she was around 20 and married to around 65. I asked her, do you love the man? He asked me, what is love? We don't love. You are just told that you're going to stay with that man and that's all. You have nothing to do. You have nothing to discuss. That's what I can say for now.
Now help me understand, because you say a man can have 6, 7, 8 wives, whatever, but now he's going out to find women who have not been cut.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's not just for reproduction purposes.
It's like a new discovery out of curiosity. What is out there that we don't have with our women? And most of the time, even the men were complaining that the women need to be clean. They complained of the women being dirty and not clean, not taking good care of themselves, and that's why they went outside. But the funny bit is when I asked them, you have the man and you are 6 of you, and all of you, you are being unfaithful. Aren't you scared that all the diseases that you will bring home and all that? And for some reason, they were shocked because they had never looked at it that way.
So basic
So,
education.
yes. And as we shared with David, we also said we will introduce the family planning and reproduction as one of the
Yep.
topics, even as we talk about FGM, because there is this man who has 6 wives. Each wife has around 7 to 8 children. You're not able to take care of these children, but you're able to just have your cows. And when drought comes, you don't think like, or just get a solution of trying and selling some and keeping the money to buy when everything is okay. And the money will also help you take care of your family. But for them, they would rather the animals die than sell them off or feed their family.
Wow.
So it was something that didn't sit right. And then I wanted to add, when Debbie asked what happens to the boys, we were told also boys are forced to marry some girls or into a family so that the father can maintain the friendship with the said family. So even for boys, they have forced marriages.
At what age?
As young as 15 or 10, even some you are betrothed when you are still in school. Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of a gift. They are giving you a gift for being my friend. So I'm going to make my son marry your daughter because you are my friend. It's a gift.
Okay. Now, how many villages are we talking about? You two have a heart, I guess, starting off with the Maasai. How many Maasai villages are out there that you eventually want to touch?
It's hard to count, I bet.
Yeah, because like I shared in the report, there was one pastor who drove about David, how far is Meto? I would say 2.5,
Could be around,
almost 3 hours drive
yes,
to the main
yes.
road coming to my Litisa. So he
Mm.
came a long while to just come and say, you need to come to the bush. I will organize the churches which are there. And Pastor Moses said he's the one who is in charge of the churches around that area, and there are about 25 churches. So that is the next place that we are going. So if members of these churches are collected together and brought together, it will be maybe small scale people from different churches, but we are able to touch on that. And Kajiado is a big county, so it's a lot of work, but we are hopefully by the time we finish the first 6 months, we'll have touched roughly about, David, is it safe to say 15 villages or 20 thereabouts?
The total will be around 12 to 20.
12 to 20.
Yeah, around, yeah.
12 to 20 villages. Okay.
Can I ask an overall question before we get to the details? David and Nimo,
Mhm.
when you are doing these trainings and the people that you're sharing this information with us about how they see marriage and wives and children and animals, are you talking about people that have heard and received the gospel? Are you talking
Yes.
about people that don't know Jesus?
We'll go both.
Both. Mhm.
Both.
But
Yeah.
some of them have heard and received the gospel, correct?
Yes.
But they just haven't had the biblical teaching on marriage and children
Yes.
and
Mhm.
sexuality to be holy
Yeah.
before God?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
clarifying that. Thank you.
Yeah, because and thank you because you've asked that question, because that was one of the points that came out during this training when we were doing it, because we go collecting the things that they tell us, the problems that they have. And they said we need to have pastors training, because we have pastors who have just been picked from just one of us, but he doesn't have the biblical training to take us through the word of God and all that. So it's something that they are also praying for, and they can see that there is a need for it.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So day one of End FGM training, what happens on day one?
Day one, community dialogue, where we have them tell us their own issues. We don't want to force them and try and pry on them. We want them to share their issues with us. So we ask them all the issues that are happening in their community and what they think the solution should be. They should give us solutions to it. So basically we go through community dialogue and role and gender roles. That's the one.
Men and women
That's a
together.
really good approach. That's a
Yes.
great approach to have them dialogue and come up with some of their own solutions.
Yes.
And I assume they do not bring FGM up as their number one problem.
No, it comes much
No.
later at the end.
Actually, they are the one who brings out FGM as a problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you've had community dialogue on day one. I assume you feed them lunch. You have afternoon meetings. They're beginning to slowly talk about FGM. The day is over.
Mhm.
They all go home or go to a hotel or whatever. And then day two, what happens on day two?
Day two, we just do a recap of the gender roles and the problem that we saw the day before. And then we go through now to the training of the FGM. We go deeper, and after lunch, now that's when, okay, we separate them sometimes, the men and the women. We go and teach them details on effects of FGM, types of FGM, and everything much about the FGM. And then after lunch, towards the last moment to go home, that's when we show them the video of the girls being cut. Then we release them to go and sleep over it, and then in the next day.
And Nimo, I saw from your pictures, many of them are emotionally moved by that video.
Yes. They were, and one of the things when we end up, we say, we point it out to them. This is something that is not brought by an outsider. It's actually you yourself doing these things to your own self. And we go to a moment of repentance, because we ask them, this is not the right thing, because first it's against the word of God, because no woman, and the Bible does not support a woman being circumcised. And then we say there is emotional wounds and pain and psychological trauma that have been caused to them by their own parents, because it's a cycle that has been going on. So we ask them to ask God to forgive them, and then they can forgive themselves, and then they can also go home and maybe ask their children to just forgive them. And when we came back in day 3, there is an old lady. She was like, I was very disturbed because, these things, they happen to us when we are very young, but we never really know what exactly happens until now when we have watched the video. And she shared and said, when I went home, I called all my daughters and I asked them to forgive me for the pain that I have caused them.
Wow.
And she was not the only one. There were several women who said that, and they said, we will be ambassadors of FGM. And even
Amen.
Pastor Faith said, today in the morning, I couldn't sleep. I woke up very early before coming to the meeting, and I went to my neighbors' houses and I just warned them, if I hear anyone who is taking their girl for circumcision, we shall report them to the chief and we shall take action. So you see, it's something that they are really taking to heart. And we really thank God, because sometimes one man said, circumcision is like being in the jaws of the devil. And until you see the light, you will never know what's going on with you. You are just oppressed and in darkness. So
Wow.
he was like, I keep encouraging you and we will keep praying for you to take these messages deeper into the villages so that even if you might not get 100% now, you will have saved girls through and through and generations will be saved. Because yes, some has already happened to the women, but they are ready to stand in the gap and say, this stops with me. This stops with the next generations that are coming up. So
Amen.
that's where we are. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that it's making sense now when you both said like showing the video, because these women were young when this happened. They don't even really know what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just like a cultural tradition that
Mhm.
no one really knows except the women doing the cutting, probably what really goes on. So I think your teaching, which is excellent, your illustrations and then showing them the video really brings it home for them. Didn't you say this last time they wanted to see it again, the women, because they really
Yes.
didn't know
Yeah.
what had
Yeah.
happened?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good job. David, what happens on day 3?
Yeah, before I answer day 3, I remember the first time that we did FGM on Magadi. The chief of the area initially was having issues with me when I'm doing Project 97 because I wasn't going to give him food every time I go there. And so it was kind of harassing me when I'm going to Magadi. But when I invited him to come and attend the FGM training after the video, he called me aside and told me, I'm very sorry. I did not know that you are bringing this kind of change in my community. And every time you want to come even spend at my place. So it changed him specifically being the chief and the government officer of that area. And I thank God for that.
Wow, we thank God too.
Yeah. So day 3, that is the last day. We always start with a recap again, and then we take time to teach on abortion because FGM and abortion, there's a way they relate. So we always take them through a program of abortion and how it is done. We have those materials that we teach them, and again now on how to heal for those who have been able to go through abortion. At one point, I was doing this, and I told people just to close their eyes, and if you have ever done abortion or paid for it, you can raise your hand. And I got around 26 people among the group. And so we always lead them on prayers and forgiveness over that. Then from there, we invite a law officer, that's a chief or sub-chief or anybody in the village who is from the government, who comes and tells them what the law says about FGM. He tells them exactly if you'll be arrested, what happens to the perpetrators, and everybody is around. Then from there, we issue out the certificate of participation. Nimo, if I've forgotten anything?
I will add on from what the chief shared during this last minute, the last training we had, and he said it's a high time we stopped having the separate meetings. He wanted the men, the women, the teenagers, the youth, and the morans, and the children all together, because he said some of the issues we will talk to the women, but we haven't talked to the men, and everybody will go and keep information which will favor them in whatever it is that they want to do. But if we talk to them together, some of the issues are actually parents' issues. They are not even children's issues. So we are able to lay everything on the table, because he said it is a high time we stop burying our heads in the sand and just face these issues head on, because the world is changing. And if we continue holding into the traditions and culture that we have, it might not help them in any way, because we told them not every culture and tradition is bad, but can we keep the good and just get rid of what does not really help them in any way?
That's
And
good.
yeah, and even at some point when we wanted to separate the men and women, actually they refused. The women are the ones who said, let us just all stay together because we need to just talk about this issue. And these were the older women,
Okay.
which was unheard of. Even Pastor Moses was shocked because he didn't expect them to sit together, because as tradition says, is separate the men and the women. But this time the older women were like, no, we need to talk about this issue. We can't keep hiding, and it is not helping us in any way. The world is moving and we keep on holding on to old things that don't help us or add any value.
Wow.
Okay, I am going to try to
Segue.
wrap this up since I want to try to keep it to a half an hour. One last question. Do they know who the cutters are?
Yes, they do.
And can they not just go to them and say, stop it?
For the cutter, she's in business. Remember, this is her business. So she will say willing buyer, willing seller.
So the law in Kenya is, it's against the law to do the cutting still.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's against the law.
But
So in
it's
the
not been
country,
enforced.
but it's
Yeah.
not been
Actually,
enforced.
So the money that we send to you covers transportation to get there and get back, the food, because you buy food for all the people for those 3
Lunch.
days.
Lunch and tea.
Also for your
Hotel.
hotel, because you guys are hours away from your home. So for your hotel, also, we're paying you minimum, but we're paying you daily for your work as a thank you. Gas, of course, transportation. Anything else I've missed, David?
Water. We always buy water for the trip, and food for the guys we are going together.
Good.
Mhm.
And your team is about how big? How many people on a team?
Sometimes it's between 5, 6, around there.
5 or 6. You all go in one car.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wonderful. And that's approximately anywhere from 1,300 to 1,500, somewhere in there, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So you have trips 1 and 2 have been paid. We're still trying to raise money for trip 3. And when is trip 3 coming?
It's suppose I was requesting that to be from 18th of November, 18th, 19th, and 20th.
So about a little over 2 weeks that we need to see this money
Yes.
raised up. And
Yes.
then when is trips 3, 4, 5, and 6 coming?
Nemo's doing
We always have a trip every
Or-
month.
About a trip once
one
a month.
Mhm.
And then this is just the
Maasai-
beginning. You're going to be doing much more after this, right? I assume.
Yes. After this, we'll start increasing because the need is a lot.
And Nimo, tell us very quickly, unmute yourself. Tell us very quickly how the audio FGM devices are doing.
The audio devices are doing quite well, because we have had there are 4 pastors who came for the meeting, and they have been listening to them, the households, and getting feedback. And that is why now the need is where we are. Even the women were saying, we'll call the women for you to come and teach this thing. So it's really helping a lot. It's really
Good.
working for our own good. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who are watching, I do know personally David's car is held together by duct tape. He could use a new car, and Nimo has no car. She needs transportation. That in and of itself, if someone's out there, God has blessed you greatly. That's approximately $25,000 for each person to get them a good vehicle. It's got to be 4-wheel. They're going out in the middle of nowhere. And then for the others of you who just have, we're so thankful for those of you who send in. Some of you have just sent in $10. Please keep
We're so
sending it.
thankful.
That no gift is too small. Some of you have sent in $1,000. Some others, more than that. Some less. Thank you. Please send in what you can. We're trying to help end FGM not only among the Maasai, but for it to spread to all of Kenya and then to all of Africa. And that's a part of what we feel God is calling us to. Well, thank you, David. Thank you, Nimo. Thank you, Debbie. I think I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you for listening. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.